suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Walter's got Nards!
Spider-Man No Way Home is a 2021 action-adventure directed by John Watts, and it stars Tom Holland, Zendaya and Benedict Cumberbatch. Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. I got the privilege of seeing Spider-Man No Way Home quite early on the Wednesday in the UK. I'm going to be putting spoilers in the review, but later on in the review I'm going to give a sort of non-spoiler review to begin with, and then I'll talk about spoilers after that, but I will warn you. With Spider-Man's identity now revealed, Peter asks Doctor Strange for help. When a spell goes wrong, dangerous foes from other worlds start to appear, forcing Peter to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. Now let's start with the story of this movie, because it feels like one of those Into the Spider-Verse movies where other people are coming in from different universes, different multiverses. On one hand, when I watched the trailer and when I watched the movie, sometimes it felt like it was a forced storyline just to bring in things that everybody was asking for with the multiverse, because we want to see a multiverse, we want to see Fantastic Four, we want to see Wolverine and the X-Men come into this multiverse so that we don't have to explain where they've been all this time, especially with Thanos, etc. So it's an easy out to explain things. So with that aspect, it's very lazy, but it's a welcome lazy, if you know what I mean, because we all wanted it, and this is the best and probably the only way to explain these sort of things. So bringing in the multiverse in the manner that they did is very easy to do and very lazy, but we like it. And at the same time, this is the third Spider-Man movie. They have to introduce it at some point. Why not introduce it in a Spider-Man movie? And I'm guessing Marvel probably thought, let's just do it in a Sony related Marvel movie, so if it goes tits up, it's not our fault. Doctor Strange is sort of the new Iron Man in terms of helping Peter out, and you probably know how it goes when you bring in other characters from other movies, especially at Marvel Studios characters into the Sony movies. They don't play a massive part, and it's the same with Doctor Strange. He's in it at the beginning to do what he needs to do. He disappears for a specific reason, which I won't say just now, and then he comes back for another specific reason. So that's what they do in these types of movies. It wasn't disappointing because we do see a lot of Doctor Strange. Fans of Doctor Strange will appreciate the time that he gets on screen, and that's all I can really say. When we look at the progression of not just Tom Holland but Peter Parker, his Peter Parker, I think he has progressed as Peter Parker over the last few years, over the last few roles as Peter Parker, as Spider-Man. He really shows his maturity in this one, and so do the rest of them. Ned is just Ned, you know, he's okay, but he has got a mature aspect about him. The same with MJ as well. I think MJ and Peter's relationship in this one was pretty heartwarming, and you can see that they've played the role so many times now that they're getting better at it, they're getting really good at it. And I think if you're going to rank performances by the actors in the Spider-Man movies and Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe, I think this is probably the most mature performance by them all. Let's move on to the villains, because I think that's the biggest talking point at this moment in time. We all slated, including me, we all slated The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for having too many villains. But then you look at this movie, and that not only does it have a lot of villains, it has almost every villain from every Spider-Man movie crammed into one. How do you do that on such a, let's say, a short movie, because it wasn't the longest movie. You would expect this movie to be over 3 hours long because of the material that they had to squeeze in, but the movie wasn't too long. It didn't feel long, and with having all the villains that we see in this movie in there, they didn't feel out of place. They all had their moment to shine, they all had their moment to speak, they all had their moment to do a bad thing. So I think having all the villains was a good thing, to be honest, and I enjoyed the villains more in this one than I did in some of the previous single movies, apart from, I would say, maybe the Lizard. I think the Lizard was great in this, but I think he was better in his own standalone movie, whereas the rest of them, I think they shone in this one. Dr. Octopus is a strange one because he's so different in this movie than he was in Spider-Man 2, but Alfred Molina, was almost like he didn't leave the role. It was almost like he just finished shooting Spider-Man 2 a couple of years ago and then came back to do the role. He just fell straight back into that role. He's one of my favourite villains. The exact same with Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin. It was almost like he never left. It was almost like he was playing the Green Goblin every single year. That's how good Willem Dafoe was. Jamie Foxx's Electro was definitely a step up from what we got in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think he was a more rounded character. We got a funny side of Jamie Foxx, Max, sorry. So I really liked Electro better in this movie than I did The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like I said, the movie's not too long. It's just over 2 hours, maybe 2 hours 15 minutes or so, excluding the credits. But it runs along at a good pace. I think there are scenes where it slows down just to give us a breather, tell us what's happening, let the audience know, and then build us up for another big epic battle scene. There's maybe 3 really good battle scenes, especially obviously the last scene as well. So the movie does flow at a steady pace. It doesn't feel too short, it doesn't feel too long. So that's the end of the non-spoiler talk, guys. From now on in, anything that I talk about is a spoiler. I'm not even going to say potential spoiler, it's a downright spoiler. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to have it spoiled, this is where the review ends for you, and maybe come back later on when you've watched the movie. So let's go back onto the villains first of all. I talked about Sandman and Lizard not having human form. They do have a human form at the end of the movie. I was very surprised to see that Thomas Hayden Church and Rhys Ifans came back to play the role. I genuinely thought they had voiceovers that sounded like them, and I didn't really know it was going to be them because I didn't really watch a lot of trailers or see all the spoilers. So when I found out that it actually was them and their voices, I was pleasantly surprised. Dr. Octopus, we'll go back to him before we move on to anything else. I loved Dr. Octopus in this movie. I had a feeling that he was going to be a good guy, and he turned out to be a good guy, which was good. I thought initially when he got the nanotechnology put onto him inadvertently by himself, with Peter controlling him, I thought that was the only way we're going to see him as a good guy, because Peter was controlling him. But lo and behold, that didn't happen. Peter helped him out. And it's the same with Norman Osborn. When he was sane and he was helping out Peter, I had a really nice feeling about it. 2 guys from different universes helping each other. One was a villain, one was a good guy, just combining together because they don't want to die. And he genuinely didn't want to die. Norman Osborn, he genuinely wanted to help at that point. But then obviously Peter got his spider sense when Norman was becoming the Green Goblin again. Those scenes were fantastic, but the villains overall, when they were good, they were great. When they were bad, they were excellent. I would say though, the best bad guy was Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin. He was absolutely menacing. I think he was better in this movie than he was in any other Spider-Man movie we got before in Tobey Maguire's universe. I think he was amazing. He essentially was the biggest bad guy in this film, and he was the biggest threat because unfortunately, guys, he killed Aunt May. I didn't see that coming at all. When she got hit with the glider, I thought, oh my god, I think she's dead. But then she got back up as if she was okay, and I thought, oh, she must have just fell. But when she said, with great power comes great responsibility, I had a feeling that she was going to die. And unfortunately she did. Okay, let's talk about it, guys. Whether you're watching because you want it spoiled, or you've seen it, or you've not seen it, or you have seen it, we do see Andrew Garfield and we do see Tobey Maguire. Now, I'm from the UK. We have silent cinemas. We don't scream and shout like American cinemas. But when they came on screen, the whole cinema erupted because they got their own entrance, which was good. They didn't come in at the same time. We got split audience reactions to them. We even got a massive reaction when Matt Murdock came on the scene as well. Every time a villain came on the scene, everybody erupted. Every time that happened. But obviously when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire made their entrances into the movie, everyone just screamed out loud. My kids were screaming as well. I had a great feeling. I'm obviously an adult, so I didn't do that, but when I saw them on screen, when I saw them interacting with each other, with the other characters in different multiverses, I just got goosebumps. Not because I'm like, oh my god, what is this? I got goosebumps because I got that nostalgic feeling. I was only 18 when Spider-Man from 2002 came out, and it just took me back to my teenage years, just watching Green Goblin face off against Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It was amazing. It has only been 24 hours, so I don't know if the nostalgic rush and the excitement is overbearing my thoughts on the movie. But overall, I think the movie was absolutely fantastic from start to finish. I like the ending of the movie as well, because it ends with Peter making everyone forget, or Doctor Strange making everyone forget who Peter Parker is, when he's going around talking to people and they don't know who he is. It was quite sad, but then MJ and Ned said, come and find us when we forget who you are so we can remember you, etc. But when he goes to the diner or the restaurant to say, like, here I am, he notices that they're happy and they're not getting hurt anymore because they don't know who Spider-Man is and they don't know who Peter Parker is, and he lets them go. Does that mean that their chapter ends? MJ and Ned are no longer going to be in Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies? Are we going to get Gwen Stacy and Harry instead? Is that the beginning of them, or are we going to get more people in, including MJ and Ned? I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, but it is a nice ending if that is the end of Ned and MJ. Similar to Venom, Let There Be Carnage, we get a mid-credit scene of Venom when he's in Tom Holland's universe. He's just having a drink all this time at the bar. He didn't go and fight Spider-Man for some reason. I don't know why that didn't happen. And then he gets sucked away again when all the characters had to go back into their own universes. But what he did do is leave a little bit of Venom on the bar. So maybe we'll see Venom in future Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. And finally, guys, if you haven't seen it, the very end credit scene is not a Spider-Man scene, it's a mini trailer for Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and it looks great. It looks more of the same of Spider-Man No Way Home with the multiverse. No idea what is going on there in the trailer, so we'll need to look at that a few times before we even decide what we think's happening. But it looks like good versus evil. It's directed by Sam Raimi. That's all you need to know. Anyway, guys, if you've seen this movie, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of it. If you're stuck to the very end of this, review and you haven't seen the movie, then the movie is obviously spoiled for you. But let me know down below what you think's going to happen anyway, whether you've seen it or not. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.